Hi, welcome to T-Badge Trucks and Stuff. In this video, I'm going to do all the body work on this driver's door. I already got the passenger door finished in my last video. This one's a little worse though. Got a big gouging scratch right there. Some big dents and some rust there. Looks like maybe a little rust around this hole that's bubbling. And there's probably more. That scratch there, that's a good one. I think it's dented in a little even. Ooh, that'll be a good one to fix. We got little chipping in the layers of the paint all over the place. And then this guy up here, which you can kind of see it. I'm not sure which way it got dented. Maybe right here somebody pried on it, I don't know. Kind of right here and down just a little, it kind of comes out and has like little notches to it. The bottom corner down here, it really has me worried because there's all these little bubbles all over on it. There's no saving the inside of the door little plastic piece on this one. We'll just have to get that out of the way. Up here we have a little split that we'll have to weld up. And down on the inside of that corner that looked bad, it's definitely rusted through and a little bit bad, so hopefully it's not where we have to replace metal, but if we do, that's what we'll be doing. Otherwise, just like the passenger door, the bottom of it is full of little rust bubbles and the seam sealer going bad and peeling off. So hopefully no holes behind that and just all surface damage, and that's easy to clean, and it's all the corner and getting this big dent and scratch kind of area out of there. And yeah, get that door looking good. So we'll make this quick and get right into the body work. I'm gonna pressure wash it and degrease it. So I'll see you in the garage. Here's my passenger door after sanding, and it only had a little bit of body work to do. And I built this stand. That's just a door testing out the stand. But I built this stand so that I'll be able to hang the doors up and have lots of access all the way around them when I go to paint them. I got all the little sticker stuff and whatever plastic was stuck on there with that eraser wheel. And now it's time to eat into this with a wire wheel and see what's under there. How bad is this? Oh, give me a second, we'll see. With a wire wheel and a Scotch-Brite pad, I got this pretty clean up here. And look at this front corner. Ooh, she's bad. And that, it's all scaly and pitty. That's the front layer where the little bubbles are. So we're gonna have some repairing to do there. I'm not sure what to do yet. If I replace the whole corner or I dig in and just clean it up. What do I do? I don't know, but I'm gonna figure it out. Good time to get that rust converter on everything. Do it while this thing sits until I figure out what to do with that corner. Hopefully not too long. I'm gonna flip it over and clean up the other side and see what does the material really look like? Is it worth saving the corner and maybe just putting a filler piece in the back, or is it a whole corner replacement? We're gonna see. I used the Scotch-Brite pad to strip away the paint, and can you tell those spots I got circled, especially this one? That one's rusted all the way through. These are very, very thin. You can see color change just from the little bit of heat, and the texture there, those are very, very thin. So I gotta decide what do I do. I could build filler on there. I can access both sides if I cut away the back a little bit, and I'll be able to seal it in there. Or do I just cut off the corner, weld a new one, but then that requires even more body work and sealing it in. So what should I do? Gonna have a little thinking. I'll strip off the pinstripes and do a quick scuffing on the outside of the door here to see what kind of shape we got while I think about what to do with that corner. After a little scuffing with 220 on that nice big sanding block, we can see the denting around the scratch. There is a low spot and showed up pretty well, so that's one we'll get with body filler. Along the bottom here, it's a little wavy, has a few highs and lows along it. This is pretty regular that the edge is folded back just a tiny bit. Not too bad though. Nothing too much up there other than a couple stone chips. And this edge has a little bit of a kind of abnormal curve in to it. I'm thinking what happened here, this hinge doesn't hit because it's the hinge I put on, but somebody must have folded that back and the hinge or something like that hit on it right there and made that little bit of a mark in it. But overall, that's not too bad. So before I do too much on there, because I'm going to be moving the door around a lot, I'm going to fix this corner. Figure out what to do. And yep, let's get at her. I got all these doors back here. These are all ones, they're rusted somewhere. Pretty much all, I don't know, I guess you can repair them, but they're going to be my parts doors. So they all have the little body line on them because they're from a little bit newer ones, but I don't think that's going to matter. And they all have, can you see it there? That one's not bad. This one, a little more swelling, but I chose this black one over here. Cut that off. Tiny bit of bubbling in there, but that'll work. I'll use that for my patch panel. it seems like it's going pretty good here. The hardest part is being patient because it gets hot really fast. And I was doing a little bit sloppy up there, missing, so I just put a new lens in my welding helmet. I'll do a little better on this side. That should make a difference. I'll be able to see now. Looks to have turned out pretty good. Only very minor shrinkage. And when we go with the straight edge, we're really good. Really good. Only a small little gap. And then we start to get a little gap in the top here. So just a small gap. Seems like it is rounded this way a little too, so the back side over here must have pulled on it a little bit, but no big deal. I'll quickly fix that with my hammer and dolly. Here's what we're looking at. The welding turned out alright. There's still a couple pinholes to go back and get. And then I have more grinding and welding on this side. This is done with my flux core welder. And then for my straightness, very nice across there. Just a little dip. I think when I was blowing the air and welding, I made it cave in a little tiny bit, but it's not very much, so it'll be easy to blend with the filler. And even down to the edge, there's not very much of a space anywhere. It's pretty good. It does teeter a little still, so I may straighten it out more, but I'm gonna finish welding and grinding and then see what I think of it. I think it's better than having this rusty piece in there. Right, I got rid of that much rust, and this was getting holes in it because it was so thin. So at least I got rid of that with solid material, and I needed filler either way. I don't know, let's see. I'll finish her off and we'll take a final look at how that came out. We got one corner done here. Pretty happy with it. Any shape of the weld that you can see there is a little bit lower. Probably I got it going pretty quick and using the air. It sunk in a little tiny bit, but no worries, that'll be done with the filler. And here's the back side. We got all the little pinholes filled up, and yeah, we'll just give it a quick wiping with fiberglass Bondo first, and then the filler Bondo, and that'll complete that area. I got this low spot in the door where the scratch was. I just kind of scuffed it up. I gotta do it a little bit more than that, but that's another area that's gonna require some filler. But before that, I got one last little welding spot right here, and the top of the door is split, probably from opening and closing so many times over its life. Somebody must have been hard on it and slamming it and yanking it shut, something like that, to wear that area out. Well, a quick little bit of weld on there. That's all nice and solid again. Now just grind it smooth. And there's that all cleaned up, grinded so that the Windows equipment will all clear it without any issues, and we'll be on to the next bit. Just went around and exposed all these little rust spots. Now, to do away with them for good, rust converter over everything that's exposed on here. Just let her soak on down. Then once that's cured, I'll do a little bit nicer of a job with my sanding there, start blending everything back together, and get filler primer on, and make it look like a nice door again. Well, let me get you in here and show you what this is looking like. Did you catch when I was doing my Bondo? One of my layers got poor adhesion. And I think that was probably because it started to harden up, and I didn't really have very much time to lay it out and work it around on the metal. So yeah, it got bad adhesion, and I started sanding it when it was like a little bit softer because it sands quicker, but it just ripped all the edges off. So if you've seen that, I sanded that whole patch right off and redid it. But yeah, let's look at what we got underneath here. So the black primer was self-etching primer, and I sprayed that because of the bare metal in some spots. And then the gray primer is the filler primer, and I needed to get something around them Bondo spots because seeing the edges and the small light detail, like how it shows up right now, is really hard when it's only the Bondo with metal around it, and it sands off a little bit different because you got more aggressive sanding paper. But this is wet sanded with 400, and we can see there's still some scratches in there from the 60 grit that was on the random orbit sander. A couple little spots where there was bubbles in the filler. And then over here, this is sanding out pretty decently, getting to the black layer, so there's still green and the orangey color underneath it there. But a few spots, I seen I had a paint reaction around these, which I think that would probably be because I sprayed the penetrating oil on there, and I must not have cleaned off good enough around them. So I'm gonna have to sand that down further, fix that up, go a little bit farther, kind of all around, probably take off a lot of the black primer and get back into the original paint of the door. I'm using my white sanding block thing here. This one has a little bit of flex because when I was checking how high my filler spot was over here, I noticed more of an arch to the panel, and I didn't want to make anything too flat when I check over like a really wide distance. Over small distances you don't really notice, but over 2 feet it was noticeable, and I think that's 18 inches. So we'll use that one that flexes. It grips really good, and we're just gonna keep on sanding, fill up the low spots with more primer, and keep on going until we get it all the way smooth. So I'll show you when I get it finished here, because it's just a lot of fill it up and sand it down, fill it up and sand it down. That's all the sanding I'm doing on her. I went over it and reloaded spots around the mirror area here and in this corner over and over quite a few times. I took the Bondo down a little bit extra to keep my edges looking nice and thin, and everything seems to be blended in very nicely, very smooth. So all I got left, I removed the hinges and the door handle, so I have to clean the sticker part off there and prep all of the back of the door here with just cleaning it off really well, and then Scotch-Brite. And then that'll be that. It'll be ready to get outside, get the real paint job on it. But the weather's not looking quite right for painting, so I'm going to move on to one of my next parts. Probably that fender. That looks like a nice one to do next. There is a couple spots where I had issues in here. You can see these little lines was odd reactions with the primers that normally doesn't happen. But I kind of just worked through it, sanded it out, filled it back up over and over and over, and this is what it is. It's going to be like that. I doubt you'll be able to see any of it in the end. But weird things like that happen with your primers and mixing all these old paints. And then right over here, I got a couple little teeny bubbles in the body filler, but really if I get being super picky and actually fix 100% of everything, I've never had my paint job turn out as good as I can do all the work on here. So it ends up being disappointing sometimes. You do spend a whole whack load of time and then you kind of wreck it with your paint job. So I just want to get through it, keep learning the paint job. So make sure you check back in to T-Bad's trucks and stuff while I do this one, and we're gonna fix all the rust around the outside of the edge. There's probably a couple little dents to fix, but we're just doing the basics, some backyard body work, and gonna get it back looking good, along with the doors here and the rest of these panels I got. Still got to get a passenger side front fender. See you next time.